What's up, Buttercup? I enjoyed your video this week. Thank you for validating my lazy feeling malaise last week. I'm glad that the baby shower went well. I have finally seen the Avengers movie. Why can't I think of what it's called? Anyway, I've seen it and I loved it too, and we should talk about it. But not on here, because you're right. We shouldn't spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. If, all 8 of our viewers haven't seen it and want to go see it, we don't want to spoil it for them. Anyway, this week I am going to talk to you about something I learned this week, and I'm going to show you some pictures and things. I want to tell you first that I got my information mostly from an episode of Radiolab, the podcast, which is a show I love and I totally recommend. And secondly, I checked out a few articles online, one especially from the History Channel. So I have at least a little bit fact-checked this. Anyway, what I want to tell you about is the Japanese balloon bombs that they used to attack the US during World War II, which I had never heard about. So after the 1942 Doolittle raids on Japan from the US, where we attacked many of their cities, Japan wanted to be able to attack mainland US. And so to do that, their planes couldn't get that far. It was too far, and they didn't have missiles that would go that far. So they came up with this idea of inflating balloons and using mechanisms that could tell when they would decrease in altitude to drop off weight so that they could make it all of the way. And then finally, when they would decrease in altitude once they got over the US, they would land somewhere in the US and start fires, cause panic, and that kind of thing. More than 9,000 balloons were launched, and at least, or more than 300 actually made it to the US instead of just landing in the ocean. However, at the time, the military didn't want Japan to get more information about where they were landing, and they didn't want to panic people, and so they put a blackout on any news about these balloons. There were never any really bad damages from these balloons, except for there were the only mainland US fatalities from these balloons happened to a church group in the mountains when they came across one of the balloons. And this is a monument to them that is erected today. All right, Buttercup, that's the end of my video. Just a really interesting history fact. I'm curious to know if you'd ever heard about them. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, Buttercup.